This is the closest I'll ever get to TV, so I'm going to enjoy it. My name's Michael McGirr. I've written a book about sleep called The Lost Art of Sleep. There it is. And how this book came about, well, the book before this, called Bypass, was a kind of biography of the Hume Highway, and that was a terrific project, writing about that road and all the people who've been along it in, 150 years or more. And towards the end of that book, that it came home to me that underneath it all, it was really a book about restlessness. You know, 5,500 trucks a day up and down. If you stand on one of the overpass bridges over the Hume Highway, you'll see most nights of the week, half a dozen truckloads of photocopy paper go underneath, heading north. All those kinds of things are a reminder that that road doesn't stop, and the culture that needs it and creates it never stops either. So having written this book about restlessness, I wanted to do the other thing and write a book about rest. It came to me from other places as well. One is that soon after the last book, my wife and I took delivery of brand new baby twins, and that heightened our interest in sleep considerably because we weren't getting any. And the more we tried to improve this situation, the worse it got. I suppose I had a very common sleep disorder and been living with that for, well, as long as I could remember. The main symptom is snoring, and without treatment I was falling asleep pretty often. I used to be a Catholic priest. I once fell asleep during one of my own sermons. It's not hard to do. What happened was, well, look, I'll give it away. There's a trick to the trade if you're a priest, which is that pretty soon you run out of things to say. And that's the time at which you say to the congregation, let's just think about what I've just said. Or if you're particularly desperate, you'll say, let's just meditate on what I've just said. And it was during one of these pauses that I was trying to think of the next thing to say, and I just happened to doze off to sleep. And then when I came to, I looked up and the congregation were all laughing, and I thought to myself, I wonder, I must have said something funny. I wonder what it was. But sleep apnea, which was causing all this, well, it's funny when it comes to sermons. It's not so funny when truckies are falling asleep at the wheel and that kind of thing. So, new twins, my own sleep problems, but something deeper, which was a sense that the culture that we are part of is exhausted. Our entire culture is missing out on sleep and rest and behaving like a child that hasn't had its sleep, you know? And so it's screaming. The culture is screaming, desperate to get your attention, desperate to make itself seem like it's got something new to say, or a bit of an edge, or a new something or other. But actually, it's just the same old stuff over and over again, trying to keep itself awake, but in fact, exhausted. But researchers will tell you, if you've been awake for 28 hours, your cognitive capacity is the same as if you had a blood alcohol level of 0.08. You would not be fit to drive a car. Yet Margaret Thatcher and recently Kevin Rudd and other people make a virtue of the fact that they stay awake so long. They stay awake to the point that they shouldn't be driving a car, let alone running a bloody country. They should just go to bed. Give us all a break. After oil, coffee is the second most valuable commodity in the world economy and the second most traded. That's got to tell you something. It's got to tell you something that there are so many ways to get caffeine, and the number of caffeine outlets and the strength of the caffeine available is increasing. So we're seeing Diet Coke replaced by Coke Zero. The difference between them? Much more caffeine. You're seeing Diet Pepsi replaced by Pepsi Max. Same stuff, the only difference, more caffeine. Caffeine, caffeine, caffeine. Why do we need this? It's just to stay awake. Wouldn't it be better if we all just went to sleep?